Admit it. You're bisexuals.
With LGBTQ manga and anime slowly yet surely growing, it seems that there's one part that isn't represented much nor explored to its fullest, and that would be bisexuals. Bisexuality is one that, although a slight majority over the others, seems to not have any anime or manga geared around it that much. I made 3 videos covering the L, G, and T, and also technically the Q, so it would only be fair to cover the B and talk about the manga, yeah? Well, we already know the deal here. You're gonna get your manga, your anime, some commentary, and you're gonna like it. So let's dive into some great bisexuality, okay? Alright, so what y'all think first in your mind when I mention bisexuality in anime? For some, it could be Dio, since he is canonically bisexual and the villain of JoJo. Or you might think of another, yet inferior, villain Toga, who thirsts for both Deku and Uraraka. But whereas Dio actually pulls women and gay priests, Uraraka likes Deku, and Deku is currently helping Bakugo give birth to his quadruplets in the hospital. Bisexual representation in anime and manga aside, we don't realize that, much like the other letters in this alphabet mafioso, I call dibs on being the sky, bisexuality has their own mangas to them and their name. And while not as visible as the others, bisexual manga, or at least manga with bisexual themes present, exist in their own right. So, with that being said, what bisexual manga is out there? But before we jump into that, I want to ask you a question. A question that you're probably gonna look up while I say it, but I want you to think about and have in your mind fresh. Who is the mother of pride? Who exactly is considered the mother of pride parades? While you think that, let's start on the video. Bisexual manga is an uncommon occurrence that does appear. However, after reading through some, I realized there's one massive trope that has been haunting bisexual manga. Love triangle. Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Also, no. I'm gonna be honest, going into this, I knew this was coming. I knew that the idea of 3 people contending for love was gonna be at the forefront. And can you blame them? And not only accounts for all usual 3, but it makes for a juicy story with drama and tension and character growth. Octave, That Summer, and Scum's Wish is good, but there is a few that I really do want to highlight for the way they play with the bisexual love triangle trope, and especially play with bisexuality as a present theme in the story. For example, I know a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about this, and I know you're really excited when I say the name. It's Blue Flag. Written by Kaito, Blue Flag was on Shonen Jump Plus and ran from 2017 to 2020, with only getting English releases once it ended in 2020. Do you guys know how happy I am to finally talk about a Shonen Jump manga, even if it is Jump Plus? Like, ever since I talked about Stop Hibari-kun and just my massive love for weekly Shonen Jump history, seeing a Shonen Jump veteran and manga be on a talking point in my videos is making me so excited you have no clue. Blue Flag is a bisexual love triangle manga that does not follow the whole competition or fight trope that happens. Blue Flag rather just focuses on 3 protags, Taichi, Toma, and Futaba.
She luckily named her.
And see them interact with this weird love triangle. The characters don't have a sense of competition between each other, but a competition between themselves to improve for the others. We see this best through the lens of the protagonist of this story, Taichi, a bisexual man that we read and see the story through his perspective, specifically in how he interacts with the 2 love interests, a gay man Toma and a straight girl Futaba. Taichi is not just there to be tossed between the 2. He helps them out and navigates them through life. For Toma, it's trying to help imagine a future after high school and figure out what he wants to do in life. And for Futaba, it's to help woo Toma's heart and to get the man of her dreams, while also being more outgoing and more confident in herself. Likewise, Taichi also mutually benefits from them too, as he goes from being the stubborn, quiet, and rude guy to a more kinder and friendlier person. This is shown when his crush for Futaba develops. He slowly gets more mad with her and pushes her away until he reconciles and admits his flaws straight out, really contrasting the first 2 chapters where he admits he's always so hard on Futaba. Another example of Taichi's growth is how Taichi always perceived himself as weak, and has to overcome the trauma of not saving a cat when he was young. And while he not only saved the cat, he saved Toma and his beliefs for having a bleak future. Taichi resembles not only bisexuality in the sense that he likes both Toma and Futaba, but that he balances both in a healthy way and showing care for them. Even the interactions between the other two love interests come off as genuine and nice, especially in chapters 24 to 25, where they reflect together how good of an influence Taichi has been in their lives and how much they care for him. The manga is more than just romance, as it also dives into the themes of gender, women's roles in society, the youth's expectations, and also PTSD from death, ranging from the aforementioned cat to Toma's parents. The manga illustrates the young teenage life of jumping into university, as well as the complex navigation they take when it comes to dating and their role in Japan. Also, there's a lot of product placement for Sony and Minecraft, just saying. The ensemble is also not left for dead either, as we see Masumi explore her identity as a lesbian and a woman, and loving Futaba, yet only ensuring the best for Futaba in her life. Another is Mami overcoming the trauma of her past relationship and the misogyny she witnessed due to her ex-boyfriend. Blue Flag is a coming-of-age story that not only helps show a coming-of-age story and the fear of becoming an adult, but also a way of exploring bisexuality and how a bisexual man grows and develops through the people he loves. Of course, Blue Flag is not the only manga revolving around a bisexual's quarrels in a love triangle. Indigo Blue revolves around Rutsu, a bisexual woman dating her editor Ryuji when she encounters Yano, a lesbian woman she falls for. Why are so many of these with blue in their name? I mean, I'm not complaining, blue is my favorite color, but wow. The plot is not as nice as Blue Flag, as it instead shows Rutsu cheating on Ryuji to get with Yano, who in turn rejects her advances outside of sexual activities. Yano shows her inability to work with Rutsu, from the power imbalance of being a fan to also admitting she prefers to date lesbian women, whereas Ryuji we see suffers from the cheating behind his back and also trying to maintain a healthy relationship and facade as being the editor and author of Rutsu's books. What I like about this story is that whereas Blue Flag shows the bisexual lead juggling his love interests calmly and with much respect, Indigo Blue opts to just have Rutsu destabilize her relationships with both, sabotaging the sexual elements with Ryuji to eventually straining the worker relationship, and with Yano wanting to push more into intimate moments despite Yano being hesitant. Don't be fooled, Yano isn't rejecting her, as they do end up together, but always skeptical and judgy towards Rutsu, especially for her being with the man prior, and more specifically, her bisexual identity. This leads me to my next subject about Indigo Blue, which is how all of this shapes up to show how Rutsu's bisexuality affects her writing and herself, with the whole reason for becoming an author being that she was unable to confess her feelings to a girl in university, and putting characters based off of real life into her books. Whereas Taichi shows a bisexual's ability to process their feelings and roles in the lives of people they love, Rutsu instead shows a bisexual's inability to juggle and properly address their feelings and how they conflict. It's what the kids would call a bisexual disaster. So there are the two love triangle bisexual mangas I wanted to talk about. And you might think I'm going to stop the video here, and you're right, bye. So, what other mangas revolve around bisexuality that don't fall for the usual bisexual love triangle trope? Well, I actually found two, actually. One of them, actually, being a Korean manhwa, My Girlfriend's Ex-Boyfriend. I know I said manga for the video title, but after my yaoi and yuri videos featured media from all over Asia, such as dramas, I felt like, why not cover Korea? It's still just as valuable, and that's a bisexual story. The first thing I want to draw attention to is that you can tell this manhwa was made to be read on phones because the desktop view is so small. I was squinting trying to get the manhwa screenshots for this video. The story revolves around Yoonbul and Sena, two girls in love going to college, when Yoonbul encounters Sena's ex-boyfriend from the past in her class. You might think this is a love triangle, but the first few chapters clearly define not only are the two together and ready to stay, but also Sena and Yoonbul's past is there to test them on their loyalty to each other and what they mean to each other in a relationship. Not to mention, we see said characters of the past interact with each other and try to reconcile for themselves going forward. I really like how this manga is about bisexuality from outside a bisexual's perspective, and how a bisexual person and their non-bisexual partner react to dating someone who is a different gender than themselves, in this case, a woman reacting to a man, and watch them think about it. It shows not only bisexuality in general, but the concept of bisexuality in a relationship between one bisexual and one monosexual. So what is another one that has bisexuality on the hot seat? Well, one that I found via my yaoi hunt, and one that I wanted to save specifically for this video, 50/50. This manga was published in B-Boy by Saika Kuneida in 2008. 50/50 takes the bisexual leads and instead make it a fun rivals to lovers story. Here, we see Kawanishi Wataru and Higashino Shuzo, two guys who hate each other, compete to see who gets a girlfriend, who tastes are better, and who can get married first. and we see them throughout the manga jumping from girl to girl, gushing over either boobs or legs. However, not only are all of their attempts unsuccessful, they always end up together in bed. I love this comedy manga because it takes bisexuality in a comedical and funny tone. Both of these men come off as pathetic, horny, and desperate for women's attention, while also denying their feelings for each other and attraction to men. In other words, they're perfect for each other. Wataru and Shuzo are both men who love women, but also love men and themselves, yet they struggle to admit that and come to terms with their bisexuality. It also has other slapsticks I love, like in one chapter, the two girls that they went on a double date ditch them and just date each other. I think that's totally funny and awesome. Still a great way of showing bisexuality, by the way. Overall, 50/50 is a good comedy manga that not only shows a good romance between two guys, who look pretty good in my opinion, but also an exploration of bisexuality, their identity, and how they affect their lives. This might sound all fun and dandy, so you're probably thinking that, whoa, there's a lot and there must be more bisexual manga, right? And to that I say no. The reason? There is no bisexual manga. Am I saying this is all a lie and everything is a lie in the manga, manhwa artists all hate bisexuals and want them gone, yada yada yada? No, of course not. I'm not that insane. What I am saying is bisexuality is not worth exploring in manga, and to explain, let me use tokusatsu as an example. For this, we're going to pretend the LGBT is the tokusatsu franchises and how they are. The gays, G, would be Godzilla, L, lesbians, would be Ultraman, T, trans would be Kamen Rider, and that leaves B with none other than the Japanese Power Rangers themselves, Super Sentai. QIA, you guys can be Metal Heroes, Kikaida, and Barome X. You guys can have those. I think Barome X is really cool. Why is it that I put Super Sentai for B? Simple. Much like bisexual manga, in comparison to yaoi, yuri, and trans manga, it's not profitable, much like how Super Sentai is not profitable. Godzilla, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider have all been successful in revenue for their companies. Godzilla had Shin Godzilla bring in $78 million in the box office, pushing for more kaiju movies to be made and have a small comeback in the later years, with Godzilla -1 being set to drop later this year. Ultraman has been doing phenomenal in terms of long-running tokusatsu shows, with not only Shin Ultraman bringing in $34.4 million in the box office, but the series expanding rapidly. According to Supro's third quarter reports for 2022, net sales were at an all-time high of 89.60 billion yen. Ultraman has officially become bigger than Disney in China and plans to aggressively expand and reach Western markets in the US, with the new series Ultraman Blazar being released on their YouTube channel simultaneously alongside Japanese airing, which has already reached above 2 million subscribers. Kamen Rider has not been slacking either, as not only did Shin Kamen Rider made $16.02 million in the box office, it still has been doing well sale-wise, meaning forecast sales consistently. And this is where we get to Super Sentai, which hasn't. Not only are they the only example that doesn't have a Shin movie, although I'm a firm believer of Shin Goranger, I know it's happening, but Super Sentai is failing to make profit year by year. Let's put this into perspective by comparing it to its big brother Kamen Rider. The last series to not make profit and be considered a financial failure was Ghost in 2016. The last Super Sentai series to be considered a financial success and actually brought profit was Syuden Sentai Kyoryuja in 2013. Sentai has been failing to meet forecasted sales, and the sales get lower and lower. Even their anniversary season, Zenkaiger, couldn't even pass 5 billion yen with only 4.2 billion, especially compared to Kamen Rider's anniversary series, Ji-O, at 30 billion. And now that Power Rangers' future with them is pretty much non-existent thanks to Hasbro, Sentai is at its least profitable it's been in a long time.
Hey! No one cares about your stupid Japanese Power Rangers! Seriously, what is this? It's totally freaking stupid, dude! Nah, screw that. What the heck is a Cayman? Actually, I think it's pronounced common. This guy unironically still watches Power Rangers! Go back into the hole of irrelevancy, you space cat meat rider! Freaking Power Ranger Samurai looks better than this!
Actually, it's Samurai Sentai Shinkenja.
Case in point. Nobody cares about this. Get back on the topic of the video, dude! Holy sh!
Okay, so you might be wondering, what in God's name and the bear does this have to do with bisexual manga? Much like Super Sentai, bisexual manga is not considered profitable. The reason I say bisexual manga does not exist is because bisexual as a sexuality or concept is something barely anyone wants to explore individually. Why would they want a bisexual character as a lead when they can just make it a yaoi and yuri manga with the bisexual character and forget their bisexuality exists? The same way tokusatsu fans go to watch Kamen Rider and Ultraman for superheroes and completely skipping Super Sentai. And if they want to discuss or explore gender and their roles in society, they don't go to bisexual mangas and just jump to trans mangas. The same way, if they want to go see big monster fights, they go to Godzilla instead of Sentai. In fact, I looked up bisexual manga and I got this work from Soko Masaki, and I immediately told myself I had to read this manga for my video. Only for it to be non-existent online with no translations, raw scans, and the only way to access it is via an eBay listing, and I already spent all my money on Super Sentai products. You might jump in my comments and say, actually, bisexuals are just gay or lesbian and trans, and all that they do is that they don't need their own or whatever, yada yada, and to that I say, that's stupid. Alright, look, it's true that bisexuals can date someone of the opposite gender and be passing, and their queerness isn't visible, unlike the other letters. Thus, biphobia is rampant in the LGBTQ community, and bisexual erasure is very common. They deserve their own voice, their own experience, their own way to share their lives, and their own space. After all, a bisexual woman is one of the big reasons we have these spaces. Let's go back to that question I asked earlier in the video. Do you know the answer? It's none other than the woman we're going to talk about for this video. Brenda Howard was a Jewish woman born in the Bronx in 1946, and was not only an anti-war activist, feminist, and pro-sex worker, she was also a proud and outspoken bisexual. Howard, together with fellow activists in the Gay Activist Alliance and Gay Liberation Front, was able to form the first Christopher Street March, or as it's now called, Pride, considering Brenda the mother of Pride. Throughout her life, Brenda worked with LGBTQ communities such as BiNet, Bisexual Action Network, and advocated for queer causes. Brenda Howard is one of the big reasons we have a voice, and more specifically, why bisexuals have a voice in the LGBTQ community. In society where bisexuals are either just pushed into being gays or straight, or only judged if they're trans or not, bisexuals like Brenda are important to ensure bisexuality is not erased. It may not be as perfect or wholesome as Taichi, nor as funny as Shuzo and Wataru, but bisexuals are not just the other letters. Bisexuals are bisexuals, and they deserve their own voice and stories. Which is why I'm not only sharing Brenda Howard's story, I'm sharing these bisexual mangas with you, to not only read and learn about bisexuality, but to hear their stories. Bisexuals are just as valuable in the LGBTQ community as anyone else, and just because they either are similar to gays and lesbians or would happen to be trans, doesn't mean that bisexuality doesn't have its own unique voice. Bisexuals have their own experience, their own ideals and their beliefs, and to that I say, I would love to hear my bisexuals out. At the bisexuals watching this, as a cis gay man, I do feel like you guys always need to make sure your voice is constantly heard. When in the world that you guys are always getting overshadowed, your voice and your feelings are just as important as lesbians, trans, queer, and other LGBTQ identities. You guys are important for us because not only did Brenda Howard help pave the way for Pride, she paved the way for bisexual mangas, and it's important to ensure that bisexuality, as well as any other M-spec identity, is not erased, but thrives and is able to be shared just as much as anyone else in the LGBTQ community. And video done. Thank you guys so much for 7,000 subscribers. I never thought I would make it, but thank you so much. I'm really glad you guys are enjoying the video. As stated, make sure to watch my other videos on Yuri, Yaoi, and the trans manga. And also thank you for sticking around for this really weird tokusatsu. I really wanted to talk about tokusatsu, especially Super Sentai and their sales, because one, you guys need to support them, just kidding. And two, why not talk about bisexual mangas in a fun and enthusiastic way? If you guys want to know, I'm currently watching Revice. I'm watching Senkaiger. So yeah, anyway, make sure to check out my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok. If you want to donate to me financially, my Ko-fi's open. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check me out anywhere else. And to the bisexuals watching this one's for you guys. You guys are awesome. I love y'all. And everyone else, have a great day, especially if you're LGBTQ and all that alphabet mafiosos.